Welcome to my channel. I hope you like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet this cute little romper for baby girls and boys between 0 and 3 months. Now, the stitch pattern that I used to make this little romper is the marshmallow stitch. It's super easy. I hope you like it. Now, in my channel, I have lots of tutorials using the same stitch pattern. I'll leave links to those tutorials in the information box below. Now, the little romper that we're going to make in the tutorial is for 0 to 3 months, but you can easily make it smaller or bigger from a newborn size and up to 24 months. In the information box below, I'll go ahead and leave you some information on how you can easily make it smaller or bigger, so be sure to check that out. And as always, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop up here on the right hand side and in the information box below. Thank you so much for your support. Now, to make this cute Rosita romper, this is the yarn that I used. This is DK weight yarn, but you can also use any number 3 yarn or 8 ply. For the 0 to 3 month size, I used a total of 200 grams. Depending on the size that you make, you may need less or more. You will also need 6 buttons. These are 14 millimeter size, but you can also use 13 or 15 millimeter size. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. Don't forget to subscribe, activate the notifications bell, and remember, all of my tutorials are always in English and in Spanish. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, before we get started, I wanted to let you know that the color that I'm using here, it's this dusty rose pink. You're going to see me start the tutorial with a white yarn, which is for this little cardigan that I did. The yoke along with the body, it's done exactly in the same way for the little overalls. Now, the little sweater along with the matching pants are for 0 to 3 months, and I used the marshmallow stitch. If you prefer to do a 2-piece, in the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you the link to these tutorials. Also, if you want the finished measurements to these little overalls at the end of the tutorial, I always leave you those measurements. Okay, let's get started. To begin, I'll be using this 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. This is an E-hook or a size 5 US hook. And today I'm using this DK weight yarn. At the beginning of the video, I showed you the yarn that I'm using, and I told you how much yarn we're going to need for the size that we're making here in this tutorial. So to begin here, the first thing that we need to do is we need to make our chain. I need to make a total of 46 chains. Many of you comment and ask, how do you make a chain? This is totally for a new beginner. So to do a chain, all you do is just wrap the yarn around and pull through. Well, the first thing you do is a slip knot. So let's begin from the very beginning. You make a slip knot, insert your hook, and now you're going to wrap the yarn around and pull through that loop, wrap the yarn around and pull through that, and so on. Remember that you can always slow the video. Just go here to the top, and there's a little gear there where you can change the speed of the tutorial. So if you need this to be a little slower, you can always slow the tutorial down. And that's how I'm going to continue here and make my chains until I have a total of 46 chains. So continue, chain 46, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished making my chains. I have 46 chains. Now this chain without stretching, it's measuring about 9.25 inches, which is about 23.5 centimeters. Now if your chain is off by 1 or 2 centimeters less or more, it's okay. Just continue with the first row. So here, to begin, into the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4. Into this 4th chain, I'm going to make my first stitch. The stitch that I'm going to use to make the yoke is the double crochet herringbone stitch. There are many variations of the herringbone stitch. So here, to begin, the first thing that you need to do with this double crochet herringbone stitch, I'm just going to call it a herringbone stitch from now on, is yarn over, and into this 4th chain, you're going to grab a loop. Now you're going to take off 1 loop, grab a loop and take off 1, grab a loop and take off 2. Again, yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain and grab a loop. Remove 1 loop, grab a loop and remove 1, grab a loop and remove 2. And this is how we're going to work this stitch from here on. I think it's also known as the extended double crochet, but I call it the double crochet herringbone stitch because it does look like a herringbone pattern. So now here I'm going to make a total of 6, including the 3 chains. So here I have 5, I just need to make one more. So I have 5 herringbone stitches and I have the 3 chains. So that's 6 stitches here. Now to make the first corner, chain 1. Into the next chain, make another herringbone stitch. Now this here is the first corner. You can place a stitch marker. I'm going to do this after I finish this row. Now into the next chain, make another one. Here we're making the stitches for the shoulder, or what's going to be the sleeve. And for the sleeve, I'm going to make a total of 10. So go ahead and finish making these 10 herringbone stitches, and then I'll come back and show you how we're going to make the second corner. I finished making these 10 herringbone stitches for the first sleeve. Now to make the second corner, chain 1. Into the next chain, make a herringbone stitch. Place a stitch marker to mark the second corner here. I already placed a stitch marker also for the first corner. Now for the back side, we're going to make a total of 12. So I already have 1. Into the next chain, make the second one, and continue until you have 12. I'll come back and show you how we're going to make the third corner. I finished making these 12 stitches for the back side. Now to make the third corner, chain 1, and into the next chain, make a herringbone stitch. Now place a stitch marker to mark the third corner. And now for the second sleeve, we're going to make a total of 10. I have 1. Into the next chain, make the second one, and continue until you have 10. I'll come back and show you how we're going to make the fourth corner. I finished making these 10 stitches for the second sleeve. Now to make the fourth corner, chain 1, and into the next chain here, make a stitch. Now place a stitch marker to mark the fourth corner, and here we're going to finish with 6 of these stitches. I have 1 already, so into the next chain, make the second one, and into the next another one until we finish the row. There, I finished the last 6. At the end of this first row, you should have a total of 44 stitches. Each one of the front panels has 6. Each one of the sleeves has 10, and for the back side, I have 12. So that's a total of 44 stitches at the end of this first row. Now for row 2, we're going to chain 2 and turn. These 2 chains will never count as a stitch. Beginning on top of the first stitch, we're going to make the first herringbone stitch. Into the next, make the second one. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now remove the stitch marker. Now for each corner, you're going to make 2 separated by 1 chain. So here's the first one, chain 1, and then make another one into this same chain space. And this is how we're going to work each corner. In the chain space of each corner, you're going to do these 2 herringbone stitches separated by a chain. Make sure to return the stitch marker to mark the corner, and now you're just going to continue and work the rest of the stitches. So for this section here, this is for the sleeve, you're going to make 10, and when you come to the corner, you're going to do the same thing I did here. Then you're going to continue with the back side. For the back side, you're going to do 12 and then make the third corner. For the second sleeve, you're going to make 10 and then make the fourth corner and finish here with these last 6 stitches. I will meet you at the end of this second row. I'm here at the end of the second row. Now here at the end, to make your last stitch, we have the 3 chains. Go into the third chain here at the end and make the last stitch. And this is how I finished the second row. At the end of this second row, I have a total of 52 stitches. Each one of the front panels has 7 stitches. Each one of the sleeves has 12, and for the back side, I have 14. So that's a total of 52 stitches at the end of this second row. Now for row 3, we're going to chain 2 and turn. Remember, the 2 chains never count. Now here to begin, I'm going to work these 7 stitches for the first front panel. So beginning on top of the first stitch, I'm going to make my first herringbone stitch. That's 1, 7. Remove the stitch marker, and in the chain space of this first corner, you're going to make a stitch here, chain 1, and then another one in the same chain space. There. Return your stitch marker. You're going to work each one of the corners in the same way. So here to continue for the third row, you're going to make these 12 stitches, then make the second corner. For the back side, you're going to make 14, then make the third corner. For the second sleeve, you're going to make 12 and then make the fourth corner, and then finish here with these last 7 stitches. I'll meet you at the end of this third row. I'm here at the end of the third row. Now at the end of the third row, I have a total of 60 stitches. Each one of the front panels has 8 stitches. Each one of the sleeves has 14, and for the back side I have 16. So that's a total of 60 stitches at the end of the third row. Now for row 4, we're going to chain 2 and turn. Now beginning on top of the first stitch, I'm going to make the first herringbone stitch, and I'm going to continue until I come to the first corner. So that's 1, 8. Remove the stitch marker, and in the chain space, make a herringbone stitch, chain 1, and then another one. Return the stitch marker to mark the corner. And now you're just going to continue and do the same thing, 1 stitch for each one of these stitches. Here for the sleeve, you're going to make a total of 14, then make the second corner. For the back side, you're going to make 16, then make the third corner. For the second sleeve, you're going to make 14 and then make the fourth corner, and then finish here with these last 8 stitches. I'll meet you at the end of this fourth row. I'm here at the end of the fourth row. At the end of this fourth row, I have a total of 68 stitches. Each one of the front panels has 9 stitches. Each one of the sleeves has 16 stitches. And for the back side, I have 18. So that's a total of 68 stitches at the end of the fourth row. Now for row 5, I'm going to chain 2 and turn. Here I'm going to work these stitches for the first front panel. So beginning on top of the first stitch, I'm going to make the first stitch here. That's 1, 9. Remove the stitch marker, and in this corner you're going to make a herringbone stitch, chain 1, and then another one. And that's how you're going to work each corner. So here you're just going to continue and make 16 for the first sleeve, then make the second corner, 18 for the back side, then make the third corner, 16 for the second sleeve, and make the fourth corner, and finish here with these last 9 stitches. I'll meet you at the end of the 5th row. I'm here at the end of the 5th row. I have a total of 76 stitches. Now each one of the front panels has 10 stitches. Each one of the sleeves has 18, and for the back side I have 20 stitches. So that's a total of 76 stitches at the end of this 5th row. Now for row 6, I'm going to chain 2 and turn. Now here, beginning on top of the first stitch, I'm going to make the first stitch, and I'm going to continue and make 1 stitch until I come to the first corner. So that's 2, ten. Remove the stitch marker for the first corner here, and inside this corner I'm going to make 1, chain 1, and then make another one. Return the stitch marker. Now you're going to continue and do the same thing for the next section. Here for the sleeve, you're going to do a total of 18. Then you're going to make the second corner. For the back side, you're going to make 20, then make the third corner. For the second sleeve, you're going to make 18, then make the fourth corner, and finish here with these last 10 stitches. I will meet you at the end of this 6th row. I finished row 6. At the end of this 6th row, I have a total of 84 stitches. Each one of the front panels has 11 stitches. Each one of the sleeves has 20 stitches, and for the back side, I have 22 stitches. Now we're going to make one more row. So for row 7, I'm going to chain 2 and turn. Here I'm going to work 1 stitch on each one of these stitches until I come to the first corner. So beginning on top of the first stitch, make the first herringbone stitch. That's 1, (11). Here's the first corner. Remove the stitch marker, and in this corner you're going to make the first herringbone stitch, then chain 1, and then make another one, all in this same chain space of the first corner. Now return the stitch marker and continue and do the same thing for the first sleeve. Here you're going to work a total of 20, then make the second corner. For the back side, you're going to make 22, then make the third corner. For the second sleeve, you're going to make 20, then make the fourth corner, and finish here with these last 11 stitches. So continue, finish row 7, and I'll meet you at the end. Finish the 7th row. At the end of this 7th row, I have a total of 92 stitches. Each one of the front panels has 12 stitches. Each one of the sleeves has 22 stitches. And for the back side, I have 24 stitches. So that's a total of 92 stitches. Now, the last row, row 7, was worked on the right side. That's why I have placed a stitch marker here to mark the front side. From here on, this is going to be the wrong side of the little sweater. Now let me give you the measurement as it is. So from here up to here, right across, it's measuring about 8.5 centimeters, which is almost 3.5 inches. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to start on row 8. For row 8, we're going to change the stitch pattern. So here, chain 2 and turn. The 2 chains never count. Now here, beginning on top of the first stitch, make a double crochet. Now skip 1 and into the next make a V stitch. Each one of the V stitches is going to consist of a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Again, skip 1 and into the next, make another V stitch, and this is how I'm going to continue until I come to the first corner. Skip 1 and into the next, a V stitch. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, that row 8 is being worked on the wrong side. Now here I have the last stitch in the chain space. Here, make a V stitch. This is the first corner, so right there. So here for this front panel, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 V-stitch in the corner. Now to continue, I'm going to skip the next stitch, this one here, and into the second one, make a V-stitch. Again, skip one and into the next, make a V-stitch. And this is how you're going to continue until you come to the second corner. I will meet you right here. I finished making the V-stitches for the first sleeve. I have a total of 10 V-stitches. I still have 2 stitches left. Instead of making my V-stitch into this double crochet, I'm going to make it into the second corner in the chain space. So we're going to skip these 2 double crochets here at the end, and in the corner make the V-stitch. Now to continue along for the back side, I'm going to skip the first stitch, and into the next one I'm going to make a V-stitch. Skip one and into the next, a V-stitch. So continue like this until you come here to the third corner. I finished making these V-stitches for the back side. I have the second corner, so after the second corner I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 V-stitches. Now here at the end I'm going to skip these 2. Instead of making my V-stitch on top of the second one here before the corner, I'm going to go into the corner and make this into the third corner. So make a V-stitch there. I'm going to place a stitch marker to mark the corner here, and now I'm going to continue here for the second sleeve. So here to begin, skip one and into the next, make a V-stitch. Skip one and into the next, make a V-stitch, and so on. Continue for the second sleeve. I will meet you right here 2 stitches before we finish to show you how we're going to make the fourth corner. I finished making these V-stitches for the second sleeve. I have 10 V-stitches. Here's the third corner. So after the third corner, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 V-stitches, just like I have here for the first sleeve. Now here at the end, I'm going to skip these last 2 double crochets, and into the fourth corner, I'm going to make a V-stitch. Now I'm going to place a stitch marker here to mark the fourth corner. And now I'm going to continue and finish the second front panel. Skip the first stitch and into the next, make a V-stitch, and so on. So continue, I'll meet you at the end of this 8th row. I'm here at the end of this 8th row. Now to finish this row, I have the last 2 double crochets. I'm going to skip the next, and on top of the last one, I'm going to make a double crochet. And this is how I finish this 8th row. At the end of this 8th row, you should have a total of 45 V-stitches, and then we have a double crochet here at the end and a double crochet here at the beginning. Now each one of the front panels has 5 V-stitches. Each one of the sleeves has 10 V-stitches, and for the back side I have 11. So that's a total of 45 V-stitches, including the V-stitches for each corner at the end of this 8th row. Now in the next row, row 1, we're going to divide the sleeves, and this is going to be worked on the right side. The last row, row 8, was worked from the wrong side, so make sure that this first row is being worked on the right side because we're going to divide the sleeves. So here to begin, chain 2 and turn, beginning on top of the first double crochet, make a double crochet. Now I have the first V-stitch. I have 2 double crochets and I chain 1 space. Into the first double crochet, make a front post double crochet. In the chain space, make a fan. Each fan is going to consist of 2 double crochets, 1 chain, 2 double crochets. And into the second double crochet of this same V-stitch, make a front post double crochet. Let me show you again. We have the second V-stitch. Into the first double crochet, make a front post double crochet. In the chain space, make a fan. 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then a front post double crochet. And this is how I'm going to work each one of these V-stitches. This is a 2-row repeat, by the way. The first row is the V-stitch row. So this is going to be the fan row. There, I finished making these 5 fans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for this front panel. Now I have the corner here. Inside this corner, I'm going to do the same thing. A front post, double crochet, and then a fan. There, so now I have 6 fans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including this one here that I did in this corner. Now to separate the sleeve, I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and into the next corner, I'm going to make the same thing, a front post double crochet, a fan inside the chain space, and a front post double crochet. There, this is how I'm going to divide the sleeve. Now I'm going to continue for the back side and do the same thing for each one of the V-stitches, just like this. So continue. I will meet you right here in this corner to show you how to separate the second sleeve. I finished making these fans for the back side, including the one I have here in this corner. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Now into this third corner, I'm going to make one more, so that here for the back side, I have 13 fans. There, I now have 13 fans for the back side. To divide the second sleeve, chain 3. I'm going to skip 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 V-stitches for the second sleeve, and into the fourth corner, same thing, make a front post double crochet, a fan in the chain space, and a front post double crochet. Now continue and finish these remaining V-stitches for the second front panel. I will meet you here at the end to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of this first row. I finished making these fans for the second front panel. I have 6, 2, 4, 6. Now to finish here at the end on top of the last double crochet, make a double crochet. And this is how I finish this first row. In this row, we have separated the sleeves. Now each one of the front panels has 6 fans. For the back side, I have 13, and under each sleeve, I have 3 chains. Now for row 2, I'm going to chain 2 and turn on top of this first double crochet, make a double crochet. We always start with a double crochet, and we always end with a double crochet. Now the marshmallow stitch consists of 2 rows, the row of V-stitches and the row of fans. So in this row, I need to make the row of V-stitches, and all you have to do is make a V-stitch inside the chain space of each fan. Let me show you. This is the first fan. Here's the chain space. So here you're just going to make a V-stitch into the next. Same thing, a V-stitch. Now the V-stitch row is going to be worked on the wrong side always, and the row of fans is always going to be worked on the right side. So this here is the wrong side right now. Here I'm going to show you what you need to do under the sleeves. There, I have 6 V-stitches, 2, 4, 6. Now, under the sleeve, we have the 3 chains. I'm going to skip 1 chain, and into the next chain, which is the center chain here, I'm going to make a V-stitch. If you made more chains, then you're going to skip 1 chain and into the next, make a V-stitch, skip 1 chain and into the next a V-stitch, and so on until you have the number of V-stitches here under the sleeve that you need. Now continue for the back side and do the same thing. When you come to the second sleeve under the sleeve, you're going to do the same thing. So continue, make V-stitches here, make a V-stitch into the second chain, and then continue and finish the second front panel. I'll meet you at the end of this second row. I'm here at the end of the second row. In this row I did V-stitches. I have a total of 27 V-stitches at the end of this row. From here on, we're always going to have 27 V-stitches or 27 fans. And to finish each row from here on, you always go here to the end on top of the last double crochet, make a double crochet. And that's how you finish each row. Now from here on, like I said, we are going to be repeating the row of fans and the row of V-stitches. So to start you off here for the third row, I'm going to chain 2 and turn. Beginning on top of the first double crochet, make a double crochet. Then we have the first V-stitch, we have 2 double crochets. Into the first double crochet, make a front post double crochet. In the chain space, make a fan. Now these fans always consist of 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then a front post double crochet into the second double crochet of this first V-stitch. And that's how you're going to work each one of the V-stitches. So continue. I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do, but continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to do. So continue repeating these 2 rows and continue watching. I will let you know how many rows I'm going to do. So I will meet you at the end of that row. I'm almost done with the body of the overalls. Now I have done a total of 15 rows. So from here, which is the first row of fans, up to here, which is also a row of fans, I have 15 rows. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Now this part, it's measuring from here, from the first row up to the last row, it's measuring about 17.5 centimeters, which is about 7 inches. Now if you want to make this part here longer, you can. The only thing is that make sure that you end in the same way that I did with a fan row. This fan row, row 15, I worked this row on the right side. So now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to continue along this left front panel. Now if you notice, I have changed yarn color. The tutorial that you have been watching, it's actually for the matching little sweater. This one here, the yoke and the body are exactly the same. The only difference is the number of rows here for the body, because this here it needs to be a little bit longer, so I did more rows. If you want to see that tutorial, I'll go ahead and leave you the link in the information box, and that's the Marshmallow baby cardigan. There it is. So I'll leave the link in the information box. So here, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to work this left front panel. So here at the end, I did not cut my yarn. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go into this last double crochet space. At the end of the fan rows, remember we finished the rows with double crochets, and to begin the V-stitch row we started with a chain 2. So here at the end of this row, I'm going to make 2 single crochets. Now at the end of the next row, which is a V-stitch row, we have 2 chains. In this chain 2 space, I'm going to make a fan. Each one of these fans is going to consist of 6 double crochets. So that's 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip this double crochet, which is at the end of the fan row, and I'm going to go into the chain 2, which is at the end of the V-stitch rows. So here I'm going to make a single crochet. Again, I'm going to skip the double crochet at the end of the fan row, and I'm going to go into the chain 2 at the end of the V-stitch row. And here I'm going to make my fan. Again, the fans are going to consist of 6 double crochets. Now skip the double crochet and into the chain 2 here at the end of the V-stitch row, make a single crochet. Skip the double crochet and into the chain 2, which is at the end of the V-stitch row, make 6 double crochets. And that's how you're going to continue for this front panel all the way to the end here. I will meet you right here and I'll tell you how many fans I have, and then we're going to work the second row. I'm here at the end of the first row. For this first front panel, I have a total of 6 fans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now here at the end, I have my last fan. To finish, we're going to go here at the very top into the row of chains. So right there, insert your hook and make a single crochet. And this is how I finish the first row. Now for row 2 of the first front panel, chain 1 and turn. Beginning on top of the first single crochet, make a single crochet. Now we have the next 6 double crochets. This here is the first fan. I'm going to make 1 front post single crochet on each one of these double crochets, so that for each fan you have 6 front post single crochets. There. Now I have the single crochet that's in between the fans. I'm going to also make a front post single crochet. Again, I have the next fan. Make 1 front post single crochet on each double crochet. And this is how we're going to work each one of the fans. Don't forget to make a front post single crochet in this single crochet that's in between the fans as well. Continue, finish this second row. I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I'm almost done with the second row here for this first front panel. In this row, I did front post single crochets. Now here at the end, I have the last 2 single crochets. On top of each one here at the end, make 1 single crochet, so that here at the end we have 2 single crochets. Now at the end of this row, I have a total of 44 single crochets. Now for row 3, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. In this row, all I'm going to do is 1 single crochet on top of each one of these single crochets, so that at the end of this row, I have 44 single crochets. Just like this. Continue like this. I'll meet you here at the end of this third row to show you how we're going to work the neckline. I'm here at the end of the third row for this first front panel. Now here at the end, on top of the last stitch, I did a single crochet. I have a total of 44 single crochets at the end of this third row. Now we're going to continue all around the neckline. So to start here, I'm going to chain 1. Now at the end of the third row for this front panel, into that space, make a single crochet. At the end of the second row, a single crochet, and at the end of the first row, a single crochet. So here I have 3 single crochets. Now I have the first stitch here. This is the first row of the neckline. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to work front post and back post double crochets. So starting with this first stitch, make a front post double crochet, into the next back post double crochet, into the next front post double crochet, back post double crochet into the next, and so on. This is how I'm going to continue all around the neckline until I come here to this other side. I will meet you right here to show you how we're going to make the second front panel. I'm here at this other end of the neckline. Now here is my last front post double crochet. Here at the end I have these chains, so on top of the third chain here, make a double crochet. Now I counted all of my stitches here around the neckline, including the 3 single crochets here at the beginning. I have a total of 47. Now for the second front panel, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to chain 1. Now at the end of this row that I just finished, I'm going to make a single crochet. Now at the end of the next row, which is the first row here of the neckline, here I'm going to make a fan of 6 double crochets. Here we're going to do the same thing we did for the first front panel. So make 6 double crochets. Now skip 1 row, and at the end of the next row, this one here where we have the 2 chains, make a single crochet. Skip 1 row, and at the end of the next row right here, make a fan. This is the chain 2 space. Skip this row, and at the end of the next, make a single crochet. Skip this row, and at the end of the next, make a fan. Here I'm trying to do the same thing I did for the first front panel because I want to make sure I end with 6 fans. 2, 4, 5, 6. Skip this row, and at the end of the next, single crochet. Skip this row, and at the end of the next, a fan. Skip this row, and at the end of the next, a single crochet. Skip 1, a fan. Let's see. 2, 4, 6. Now here at the end, you're going to skip this row, and into this chain 2 at the end, make 2 single crochets. There. So we have 2, 4, 6 fans. Perfect. The important thing here is that you have a single crochet at the beginning and 2 single crochets at the end, and in between you have 6 fans. Perfect. So this here is exactly how we did the first one. Now for row 2, chain 1 and turn, and on top of these 2 single crochets, make a single crochet. Now we have the double crochets here. Here you can either do front post single crochets just like we did here, or just make single crochets on top so that this part here is not too bulky, because the buttons are going to go here, and then this here, the middle of the fan, is what we're going to use as buttonholes. Since this is for a little girl, buttonholes are going to go here on this side. If you're making this for boy, then I would make the front post single crochets here on this side, and then do just single crochets on top of each one of these stitches, just like I'm going to do here on this side. So it will be the opposite if you're doing it for a boy. So here, let me show you what I mean. So instead of doing front post single crochets, you would just do single crochets on top like this, or you can do front post single crochets as well. That would be up to you. I don't want this here to be too bulky, so I'm just going to work 1 single crochet on each one of these double crochets for each fan. So this is the back side, so this is how it would look here on the front side. That's what I'm going to do here for the second row. I will meet you here at this end to show you how we're going to work the third row. I'm here at the end of the second row. For the second front panel, I have 44 single crochets. Now for row 3, chain 1 and turn. In this third row, I'm going to make single crochets as well, so that at the end of this row, I have 44 single crochets. So continue and make 1 single crochet on each one of the single crochets from the previous row, and I will meet you here at the end to show you what we need to do next. I finished making the second front panel. Here at the end of the third row, I just did my last single crochet. I have 44 single crochets. Now I like how this looks, so if you want to make the first front panel like this, you can. That would be up to you. I kind of like how this here looks with the second row of front post single crochets. Now, like I said, this here is for girls, so what I plan to do is I'm going to attach my buttons on this side, and then I'm going to use the spaces in between these double crochets that form the fan. I have 6 double crochets, so I'm just going to part this like this. So 3 double crochets on the other side, and right in the middle, that's what's going to be my buttonhole. That's why I did not make any buttonholes. It's going to look like this. See how this looks here? Once you put the buttons here on this side, the front post stitches kind of hug that button, so that's what I plan to do here. So like this. Continue watching. I will let you know what size buttons I'm going to use for my little overalls. So continue watching if you need that information. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to join here both front panels. If you're making this for a boy, then you're going to do the opposite of what I'm doing here. Let me show you. This is only for boys, so let me show you here. So this front panel, the first one that we did, is going to go under, and this is going to go on top. This is for boys. And what you're going to do is just go into this first row where we did the fan row, and we have this single crochet here at the very end. So you're going to insert your hook from back to front like this, and you're going to pull this loop through and then chain 4. Insert your hook through this last row and through this first row here for the first front panel, and make a double crochet. And then the rest will be the same after I do this. So you're going to join both front panels like this, with this here being at the top and this here being at the bottom. Since this is for girls, I'm going to do the opposite. So let me show you. You're going to, let me redo this last single crochet here. You're going to bring this first front panel that we did on top of the second one, and you're going to insert your hook through this row where we did the fans. Here at the end we have a single crochet, so bring this through like this and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now make a double crochet by going through the first row of this front panel and through the third row of the second front panel. Grab a loop, bring it through, and make your double crochet. This here is a V-stitch. Here I'm going to continue with the body, so this will be row 16. So now I'm going to make one more V-stitch here in the center, so I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go into the third row of this first front panel and into the first row of the second front panel right here. Insert the hook, bring it through, and make a V-stitch. And now the front panels are joined, and we have 2 V-stitches here. Now I'm going to continue all around in each one of the chain spaces of each one of the fans. From row 15, I'm going to make V-stitches, so that at the end of this row 16, I have 29 V-stitches. Continue like this all around. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of row 16. In this row we have joined the front panels. We added 2 extra V-stitches here in the center, and then I went ahead and did V-stitches all around. I have a total of 29 V-stitches at the end of this row. To finish, we're going to go here to the side where we have the 4 chains, and we're going to join with a slip stitch. Now for row 17, I'm going to chain 1. In this row I need to make the row of fans, so beginning around this double crochet here, which are the 3 chains, I'm going to make a front post double crochet. In the chain space here, make a fan. Remember, each fan consists of 2 double crochets, 1 chain, 2 double crochets. And then I'm going to make a front post double crochet into the next double crochet of the first V-stitch. Again, for each V-stitch, you're going to make a front post double crochet, a fan in the chain space, and then a front post double crochet. Here I just joined a second skein here. I'm going to hide that in afterwards. So just make a front post double crochet there. And then continue with the remaining V-stitches. So this is how I'm going to continue, finish this row 17, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of row 17. In this row I have done fans. I have 29 fans. Now to finish this row, you're going to go here to the side where we did this chain before we did the front post double crochet, and we're going to join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finish row 29. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to separate the legs. But before we do that, let me give you the measurement as it is. From the top of the shoulder to the end here of row 17, it's measuring about 29 centimeters, which is about 11.5 inches. Now, if you want to make more rows here to add to this measurement, you can. That would be up to you. I have the measurement that I need for the size that I'm making, so I'm going to now divide the legs. If you want to add more rows, then go ahead and add more rows, but make sure that whatever row you end in, you make sure that you finish in the same way that I did with a fan row. That's the important thing. That way we can continue in the same way here. So now before we continue, I'm going to place a stitch marker here. This is where I finished, so right in between the first and the last fan, I'm going to place a stitch marker. For the front, I'm going to mark 2 fans, 1 and 2. For this left leg, I'm going to leave 12 fans, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then I'm going to place a stitch marker. And for the back side, I'm going to mark 3 fans, 1, 2, 3, and then a stitch marker. From this stitch marker, I have 12 fans for the second leg, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that's how we're going to separate the legs. So 12 for each one of the legs, 2 fans here in the center for the front, and 3 fans for the back side. So let's get started here. We're going to just continue and separate the legs first. So I'm going to make this part here the crutch area. So let's do this. Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 3 slip stitches so that I am in the chain space of this first fan. So that's 1, 2, and 3 inside the chain space. Once here, I'm going to chain 4 and make a double crochet. So here is a V-stitch. Now for the back, I have 3 fans. Here I only have 2. So what I'm going to do is in between these 2 fans, right here, right in the center, I'm going to add another V-stitch. So I'm going to make a double crochet, 1 chain, double crochet, and then in the chain space of this next fan, I'm going to make the 3rd V-stitch. So now here for the front, I have 3 V-stitches. Now to separate the leg, I am going to chain 1. I'm going to skip 12 fans, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and into the next fan, which is the first one here out of the 3, I'm going to make a V-stitch in the chain space of this first fan, and then make a V-stitch in the next 2. Now to separate the second leg, I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to skip 12 fans for the second leg. And to finish here, I'm going to go into the chain 4 space and join with a slip stitch. Now cut your yarn and pass your yarn through this last loop. Make sure you leave a nice long tail, because once we're done, we're going to join these V-stitches together so that this gap here closes. But you can do this after we're done with the legs. So now the legs are separated. I'm going to continue with the left side. So I'm going to do this leg first. So I'm going to go right here in the chain space in between the V-stitches here for the leg. I'm going to grab a loop here, bring it through, and chain 3. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, I did only one chain here between the legs. If you want to add more chains to add to the leg measurement, you can. For the size that I'm making, it's fine. I only need one chain. But if you make more chains, keep in mind that you may need to add an extra V-stitch here instead of 3 chains. I'm not going to add extra V-stitches in this row because I only need 12 V-stitches for the leg here. So chain 3. And now I'm going to double crochet 2 together because I don't want a gap between the 3 chains and this first V-stitch that I'm going to do here in this first fan. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go into this space. This is the 3rd V-stitch for the front side. So in that space, insert your hook, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, leave 2 loops on the hook, and now yarn over and go in the chain space of the first fan for the first leg and make a double crochet where you close through these 3 loops. So here's the double crochet 2 together. That way there's no gap. Now finish the V-stitch here by making a chain and then a double crochet. So here's the first V-stitch. Now in each one of the fans in the chain space, you're going to make V-stitches like this all around. Continue like this for this first row for the leg. I will meet you right here at the end to show you how we're going to finish this first row. I'm here at the end of this first row for the first leg. Now up to here I have 11 V-stitches. I have the last fan, so here I need to make my last V-stitch. So this is how we're going to make the last V-stitch. I'm going to make a double crochet, chain 1, and then I'm going to make a double crochet, but I'm not going to close it because I'm going to work a double crochet 2 together here. So leave 2 loops, yarn over, and go here at the end. Here are the 3 V-stitches for the back side. Here into the space of this double crochet, make a double crochet where you close through these 3 loops. That way there's no gap between the last V-stitch and the first one. Now to finish, I'm going to go here on top of the first stitch. So here are the 3 chains. I'm going to go on top of the first stitch, the double crochet for the V-stitch here, the first one, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finish the first row for this leg with a total of 12 V-stitches. Now, if you did a V-stitch here in between the legs, then you're just going to join to the 4 chains, which counts as the first double crochet or the first V-stitch, and then the rest is the same. So here I'm going to chain 1 for row 2, and I'm going to go into this first double crochet for the first V-stitch of the leg, and I'm going to work a front post double crochet. And then in the chain space of this first V-stitch, I'm going to make a fan. And then a front post double crochet. Again, we have the next V-stitch, front post double crochet, a fan in the chain space, and then a front post double crochet. And that's how you're going to work each one of the V-stitches until you come here to the end. I will meet you here at the end of this second row to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of the second row for the first leg. I have a total of 12 fans. Now to finish this row, we're always going to go here to the side where I have the chain. Here's that front post double crochet that I did at the beginning of the row. I'm going to go here to the side and I'm going to join with a slip stitch. And that's how you're going to finish the row of fans. Since from here on, we're going to continue and repeat these 2 rows, the row of fans and the row of V-stitches. So to start you off here with the third row, in the third row I need to make the row of V-stitches. So first thing I need to do here is make 3 slip stitches. That's 1, 2, and then the third in the chain space of the fan. Once here, chain 4, and then make a double crochet. This is the first V-stitch of the row. And now in the chain space of each fan, you're going to make a V-stitch so that at the end of this third row you have 12 V-stitches. and that's how you're going to continue. Now, to finish this row, you're going to go here to the side of the 4 chains, join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then work a front post double crochet around these 3 chains, and then in the chain space of this first V-stitch you're going to make a fan. It's the same thing that I did here in the second row, and that's how you're going to continue, just repeating those 2 rows. I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do here for the leg, but continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to do. So continue and repeat these 2 rows, and I'll meet you at the end of that row. I'm almost done with the first leg. Now I have done a total of 11 rows. So from here, this is the first row that we did of V-stitches up to here. I have 11 rows. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. The last row that I did was a row of V-stitches. Now this part here, from here, the first row of V-stitches up to the last, this part here, it's measuring about 13 centimeters, which is about 5 inches. If you want to make this part here longer, you can. Just go ahead and add more rows. The only thing I recommend, just make sure to end in the same way I did with a V-stitch row. Now for row 12, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to chain 1, and beginning with this first stitch, these are the chains, I'm going to work a front post half double crochet. The next one, a back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet into the next, back post half double crochet into the next, and so on. This is how I'm going to continue for row 12. I'm just going to alternate between front post and back post half double crochets. Now if you have a hard time making front post stitches or back post stitches, you can make this part here by just making half double crochets, maybe a row or 2 for this part here, just half double crochets all around for 1 or 2 rows. Here I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do, but to finish this row I'm just going to go here to the beginning, join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then repeat the same thing. I'm just going to work front post and back post half double crochets. Now at the end of each row for the bottom of the leg, you're going to have 24 half double crochets. Continue watching. I will let you know how many rows I'm going to do. So I will meet you at the end of that row. I finished making the bottom of the leg. I did a total of 3 rows of front post and back post half double crochets. So I did row 12, 13, and 14. At the end of the 14th row, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through that last loop, and this part here is done. Now what we're going to do next is the second leg. So we're going to go here, right where we have this chain space between the legs, insert your hook there, grab a loop, bring it through, and chain 3. Now if you added more chains here, then all you need to do is just chain 4 and make a V-stitch here. I'm only going to do 3 chains. Now I'm going to double crochet 2 together, so I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go here to the end. This is a V-stitch. These are the 3 that we have for the back side. Into this space, insert your hook, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, leave 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go into the first fan out of the 12 that we left for the second leg, and in the chain space insert your hook and make a double crochet where you close through these 3 loops. Now chain 1 and make a double crochet. So here's the first V-stitch. Now in the chain space of each one of the fans, make a V-stitch. So continue like this for this first row. For the second leg, I will meet you here at this other end to show you how we're going to finish this first row. I'm here at the end of the first row for the second leg. Now up to here I have 11 V-stitches. I have the last fan. Now in the chain space of this last fan, I'm going to make a double crochet, chain 1, and then a double crochet, but I'm not going to close this last double crochet. I'm going to leave 2 loops. I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to go here. These are the 3 V-stitches that we have for the front side. Into this space here at the end, insert your hook, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, 3 loops on the hook, close. There's that double crochet 2 together. Now to finish this row, we're going to go here to the top of the first double crochet of this V-stitch. right here, not the chains but the V-stitch, this double crochet the V-stitch, and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finished the first row with 12 V-stitches. Now for row 2, I'm going to chain 1, and around the post of this first double crochet, which is the first V-stitch here, I'm going to make a front post double crochet. In the chain space of the first V-stitch, make a fan. And then a front post double crochet. Again, we have the next V-stitch, make a front post double crochet, a fan in the chain space, and then a front post double crochet. And that's how you're going to work each one of the V-stitches all around until you finish the second row. Here at the end, to finish the row, you're going to go here to the side where we have this chain, join with a slip stitch, and then to start the next row, row 3, you're going to make 3 slip stitches, and that's going to put you inside the fan here in the chain space. From here, you're going to chain 4 and then a double crochet, and that's going to be your first V-stitch of the row, and continue and make V-stitches all around. Now from there on, it's exactly how we did the first leg. We did a total of 11 rows. Let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11, yes. And then we did 3 rows of front post and back post half double crochets, and at the end of these rows of front post and back post half double crochets, you had 24 stitches at the end of each row. And that's how you're going to continue and finish the second leg. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll come back and show you how to do the sleeves. I finished making the second leg. I did it exactly in the same way how I did the first one. Now what we're going to do next are the sleeves. I already did this side, so when you have to do this side, you're going to do it exactly in the same way how I'm going to show you here. So with the little overalls facing you, we're going to go here to the right side, and we're going to go right under the sleeve. Right in the very center where I have this V-stitch, I'm going to insert my hook right there. I'm going to grab a loop and chain 3. Here I'm going to make a fan, so I'm going to make a double crochet, chain 1, and then 2 double crochets. This here is a fan. Now I'm going to double crochet 2 together so that there is no gap between the next fan. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to insert my hook here at the end of this fan. This is a front post double crochet. Insert your hook into that space, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, leave 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go into the first V-stitch here for the sleeve, and into the first double crochet, make a front post double crochet where you close through these 3 loops. Now here in the chain space, I'm going to make a fan, and then a front post double crochet. Again, we have the next V-stitch, make a front post double crochet, a fan in the chain space, and then a front post double crochet. And that's how you're going to continue all around until you come here to the end. I will meet you right here at the end of this first row. I'm here at the end of the first row for the sleeve. Now here at the end, I'm almost done making this last fan. I just need to make my last front post double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and do it, but I'm not going to close. I'm going to leave 2 loops on the hook, then I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go here at the end. This is a fan, so into that double crochet space or the front post double crochet stitch, insert your hook there, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, 3 loops on the hook, close. So here I did a double crochet 2 together. Now to finish, we're going to go here to the side, right into the 3rd chain, and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finished the first row. At the end of this row, I have a total of 11 fans. Now for row 2, I need to repeat the row of V-stitches. So to start here, I'm going to make a slip stitch into the next double crochet and a slip stitch in the chain 1 space. Now once here, I'm going to chain 3. What I plan to do in this row is I'm going to decrease one fan. So I don't need to make a V-stitch here because I'm going to make it into the next. If you feel like you need to make the sleeve a bit wider, you can just leave this fan, and instead of making 3 chains, you can chain 4 and then make a double crochet. So you would be making a V-stitch here in this fan. I'm not going to do that, so all I'm going to do here is just chain 3, and then into the next fan in the chain space I'm going to make my first V-stitch, and then into the next in the chain space of the next fan another V-stitch, and so on. That's how I'm going to continue all around. Finish the second row. I will meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the second row. I have a total of 10 of these V-stitches and then the 3 chains here at the beginning. If you did a V-stitch here in the first fan, then you probably have 4 chains and 1 double crochet. So all you need to do is just go here to the side of the 4 chains and join with a slip stitch. I did 3 chains, so what I'm going to do instead to finish the second row is just go on top of the first double crochet of this first V-stitch and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finished the second row with a total of 10 V-stitches. If you did one here in the center, then you have 11. Now to continue with row 3, I'm going to chain 1. Now in this row, I need to do the row of front post double crochets and the fan. So to begin here into this first double crochet, which is part of the first V-stitch, I'm going to make a front post double crochet. In the chain space, I'm going to make a fan. And then a front post double crochet. And that's how you're going to work each one of the V-stitches all around for this third row. So now continue, finish the third row. I will meet you at the end to show you how to finish this row of fans and then how to start the row V-stitches, because from here on we're just going to continue and repeat these rows. I'm here at the end of the third row. I have my last fan. I have 10 fans for this row. From here on, we're always going to have 10 fans or 10 V-stitches. Now, to finish the fan row, you're going to go here to the side where we have this chain, and we're going to make a slip stitch. Now, for row 4, we need to do the row of V-stitches. So what you need to do here is just make 3 slip stitches. The first one on top of the next double crochet, the next one on top of the next, and in the chain space you make your last slip stitch. Once here, you're going to chain 4 and then make a double crochet. This here is the first V-stitch, and now in the chain space of each one of the fans you're going to make a V-stitch. And that's how you're going to continue for this fourth row. Finish this row and I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the fourth row. In this row I did V-stitches. I have a total of 10 V-stitches. If you added an extra fan or V-stitch here, then you probably have 11. I only have 10, as I mentioned. Now to finish this row, you're going to go here to the side of the 4 chains into that space and join with a slip stitch. Now for row 5, we're going to chain 1, and beginning with this first double crochet, which are the 3 chains, I'm going to make a front post double crochet there. Now in the chain space of this first V-stitch, I'm going to make a fan. And then a front post double crochet in the next double crochet. Again, we have the next V-stitch, make a front post double crochet, a fan in the chain space, and then a front post double crochet. And that's how you're going to work each one of the V-stitches. Now to finish this row, you're going to go here to the side where we have the chain, join with a slip stitch, and then to start the V-stitch row, you're going to make 3 slip stitches. Once you're in the chain space, you're going to chain 4 and then make a double crochet. That's going to be your first V-stitch, and then in the chain space of each fan, you're going to make V-stitches. And these are the 2 rows that you're going to repeat from here on, and we're going to do this for a total of 12 rows. Let's see, we have the fan row, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 rows. The last row that we're going to do is the row V stitches, and then we're going to do the cuff. So go ahead, continue and finish the sleeve, and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of the 12th row. In this row I did V stitches. To finish, I'm going to go here to the side of the 4 chains and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finish this part. I have 12 rows. We have the first row of fans. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now for the cuff, this is how we're going to work the cuff. We're going to make front post and back post half double crochets. So to begin here, row 13, I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to work a front post half double crochet around the first double crochet, back post half double crochet into the next, front post half double crochet into the next, and so on. Make sure that these stitches are nice and loose. Don't make them too tight. That way the cuff here, it's not going to be too tight around your baby's wrist. So make sure that they're nice and loose. So continue like this all around for row 13. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of row 13, and this row I did front post and back post half double crochets. I have 20 stitches. To finish this row, we're going to go here to the side and we're going to join with a slip stitch. Now for row 14 and 15, we're going to repeat the same thing. Chain 1, and beginning with this first stitch here, make a front post half double crochet. The next one, back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet into the next, and so on. That's how you're going to continue for row 14. To finish this row, you're going to go here to the side, join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then repeat the same thing for row 15. Continue, finish the cuff, and then I'll come back and show you the finished overalls. I finished making these last 3 rows for the cuff. Here at the end, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and pass my yarn through that last loop. All I need to do here is just hide my ends. So the sleeve is all done. This is how it looks. Now you're going to do exactly the same thing we did here on this side. It's done exactly in the same way. So these little overalls are all done, and this is how they look. Now let me show you how to close the center here. We're going to close this from the inside. With a yarn needle, we're going to go right here. We have these 6 double crochets. We have 1, 2, 3 V stitches here and 3 V stitches here for the back side. This is where my yarn is, so on this side. So I'm going to go into this. We're going to start from right here. These are the chains, so right there. And through this first stitch, and I'm just going to go through the chain space. Tie a knot there so that this part here is nice and secured. And now we're going to go stitch by stitch. So the next stitch is here, the next stitch is here, and then we have the next stitch. Make sure that these stitches match. Here's the next one. I'm skipping the chain spaces. I'm just going through the top of the double crochets of the V stitches. There's that next one. And here's the last one. Now tie a knot here. There, let's look and see how this looks from the right side. Perfect. It's joined, that's what we want. And now all you need to do is just hide your ends. I'm going to go ahead and do that afterwards. So here's the center part of the pants, and that's how it looks. Now I went ahead and attached my buttons. Now these buttons are 14mm size. You can also use 13 or 15mm size, and the buttonholes are the spaces in between the double crochets here of the fans. Each fan has 6 double crochets, so I'm just going through the middle of the fan, and that is my buttonhole right there. And that's how it looks. So now let me give you the finished measurements. So the total length of the sleeve from the neckline to the end of the cuff, it's measuring about 25 centimeters, which is about 9 7/8 of an inch. From under the sleeve to the end of the sleeve, it's measuring about 15.5 centimeters, which is about 6 1/8 of an inch. Now, the width of the sleeve, just the top, it's measuring about 9 centimeters, which is about 3.5 inches. Now, this measurement here right across, it's measuring about 11.5 centimeters, which is about 4.5 inches. The total length from the top of the neckline to the end of the leg, it's measuring about 43 centimeters, which is about 17 inches. From the crotch area to the end of the leg, it's measuring about 14 centimeters, which is about 5.5 inches. And the chest measurement, just the top, it's measuring about 24 centimeters, which is about 9.5 inches. So based on these measurements, these little overalls are for baby boys and girls between 0 and 3 months. You can easily make them smaller or bigger. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you some information on how you can easily make it smaller or bigger. And if you want to make the little cardigan instead with matching little pins, I know some people prefer that 2-piece instead of 1-piece. I'll leave the links to these tutorials in the information box as well. I have the little cardigan and the matching little pins. If you prefer to do that, I'll leave those links. And as always, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop in the information box as well, and up here on the right hand side. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, so this was today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.